Here we're going to talk about chapters 1 to 4 in The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And so this is a really amazing classic. And let's just dive right in. Chapter 1, which is called There's No One Left. Have you ever had a moment when like there's nobody at your home or something, like, and it feels like there's nobody left? No, I always am with some family member. I'm never really alone. Okay, let's start. And so we first sort of see Mary Lennox's sort of description, and just from that, how do you think she would look? Like, if you had to describe like 2 words, then what would it be? Sickly and unhealthy, right? And actually, and it's this. And so now I'm actually gonna read a little of the first page, and it's this. When Mary Lennox was sent to Misselthwaite Manor to live with her uncle, everybody said she was the most disagreeable looking child ever seen. It was true too. She had a thin face and a little thin body, thin light hair and a sour expression. Her hair was yellow and her face was yellow because she had been born in India and had always been ill in one way or another. Okay, so just imagine that. And how are you? Like, are you yellow and sickly, or are you strong, red, and healthy? Well, red doesn't always mean good, but like, red cheeked is better than yellow cheeked, if there's such kind of thing as that. But well, not red cheeked. I mean, that might mean sunburn. So really, I just mean like, do you look healthy, and are you healthy, or are you sort of like a Mary? What is it to you, in your opinion? And so, but do you think that just from the beginning, do you think that Mary's parents are very loving? And Mary's like just sour, right? And so, I'm going to read a lot of the book today, and so it says this. One frightfully hot morning when she was about 9 years old, she was awakened feeling very cross, and she became crosser still when she saw that the servant who stood by her bedside was not her ayah. Why did you come? She said to the strange woman. I will not let you stay. Send my ayah to me. The woman looked frightened, but she only stammered that the ayah could not come back. And when Mary threw herself in a passion and beat and kicked her, she looked only more frightened and repeated that it was not possible for the ayah to come to Missy Sahib. And so, just from that, is Mary really nice to anybody? Or, I mean, like, how does she act? Like, what are maybe a few words that you would use to describe how Mary acts? And so now, and do you think that, really, what do you think is really happening? Because right after that it says this, there's something mysterious in the air that morning. And so what do you think is happening right now so that the ayah can't come, right? Probably sort of like a personal maid or personal servant, and like some servants seemed missing, and they just had scared faces, right? What do you think was happening? And also, now we also learned that Mary here. Now here, Mary seems healthy, not at least yellow and sickly, right? I mean, of course, we all have different illustrations. This is mine, and you can see here that Mary looks okay, right? She's in like yellow and sickly and thin. She looks good. And so why do you think that maybe she's so yellow and sickly and thin? Well, maybe not sickly, but just really bad-tempered and cross and not happy. Why do you think that? Probably because her parents aren't treating her well, right? She never has any attention. Nobody's really her parents, they never they never have enough attention, right? Because it said this. She had not wanted, okay, so, yeah, and I'm gonna keep on reading, okay? And it says, her father had held a position under the English government and had always been busy and ill himself. And her mother had been a great beauty who cared only to go to parties and amuse herself with gay people. She had not wanted a little girl at all, and when Mary was born, she handed her over to the care of an ayah, who was made to understand that if she wished to please the Mem Sahib, she must keep this child out of sight as much as possible. So why Mary out of sight as much as possible? Like, does a normal parent want their children to go away? Like, what does a normal parent want to do? They want to, like, meet their children, like, they want to have fun with their children, but is that what's happening right now? No, right? Why do you think so? So there's something mysterious in the air that morning, right? So yeah, again, what do you think it is? Do you think, so now, and then after that, Mary is making this flower out of just picking things and sticking them in the ground. Is that a real garden? No. So, but when she calls it a real garden, now, this is called the secret garden. And here, there's actually life, not things sticking in, right? It's like actually not sticking things in, but it's actual life. And so maybe, do you think that this might be some foreshadowing? And foreshadowing is like when the book or author tells us like maybe there's something bad going, like it's like maybe foreshadowing that something maybe bad will happen or something good will happen or something exciting thing will happen, you know? So, and then she also said this, pig, daughter of pigs, she said, because to call a native a pig is the worst insult of all. So what, in your opinion, what's the worst insult to you? And like, if someone had said that, the worst insult, then how would you feel? How would you react? And then we see, and then we get a good description of the Mem Sahib. And so if you could draw her, then like, what would the background be? Because that always helps. I mean, like, would that be what in this scene, or how would the background be? I don't know, but I just thought of like a big ballroom or something, because she goes to so many parties, so that would be my background. We now begin to learn that the cholera, right? The cholera had broken out. Now, have you ever heard of cholera before? Well, cholera, in case you didn't know, was actually this disease. And this disease, I'm pretty sure, comes from bad water. And so now I'm pretty sure people are trying to stop cholera, but for right now, yeah, it's really hard. And so watch a few YouTube videos about cholera, learn more, so we can try to prevent cholera, because it's still around today. It's not like it suddenly disappeared, it's still around. And in some communities in the world, cholera is still a big problem. And now, have you ever been in like a place when like everybody's dying and stuff? Like, maybe you've even been on a battlefield before, even though I hope that you haven't. Well, I'm right now filming this while a pandemic is taking place, right? So, millions of people at least 1 million people have died, I think. At least thousands of people like die a week. And so, yeah, right, I'm pretty sure at this second, well, maybe, hopefully by the time you're watching the video, Corona will be over once and for all, but I can't get my hopes up right now. And yeah, but hopefully in a year or half a year, this will go away. Yeah, hopefully. Now, so I have another question, and it's that, do you think that Mary really cares about how well everybody is? Like, what do you think that she cares most for? Herself, right? And what do you care the most for? And like, if you can't choose, then you don't have to do this, but for people who can choose, what do you care about most? Okay. Now, and then we also and then this two men come, right? And were you since that it was all deserted, right? Everybody had died, even the Mem Sahib, and probably father, right? And so, do you think that? But is Mary that sad? Like, if your parents had died, or really if any family member had died that was as close to you as your parents, then how would you feel? Like, how would you react? I'd be crying away, right? And I would be really, really, really sad. And but that's Mary, right? Mary says this. It said this. It was in that strange and sudden way that Mary found out that she had neither father nor mother left, that they had died and been carried away in the night, and that the few native servants who had not died also had left the house as quickly as they could get out of it. None of them even remembered that there was a Mrs. Sahib. And so, does Mary even shed one tear here? No, but you can sort of understand why. Why would Mary not shed a tear? Because her parents didn't really care for her. They didn't even really think about her. So, yeah, but still, your parents, if they do listen to you, then and if they do take care of you, then maybe that would have been different. But Mary has sort of been ignored her whole life, so she doesn't really feel that sad about everything, right? Okay, now chapter 2 is called Mistress Mary Quite Contrary. That rhymes, so I thought that was pretty funny, and soon we learn actually what that means. It's part of a song that goes, Mistress Mary Quite Contrary, how does your garden grow, with silver bells and cockle shells and marigolds all in a row? And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And anyway, so now let's go into chapter 2. And now Mary has gone to another house, right? Let's see, an English clergyman's house. But, so she begins to get teased, right? And so, in your opinion, do you think that it is the boy's fault, or do you think it's Mary's fault that the whole thing started out? It was sort of Mary's fault, right? So now, it says he suggested, why don't you put a heap of stones there and pretend it's a rockery? There in the middle. He leaned over to point. Okay, and then Mary said, go away. I don't want boys. Go away. After that, it said, for a moment, Basil looked angry, and then he began to tease. He was always teasing his sisters. He danced round and round her, made faces and sang and laughed. Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow, with silver bells and cockle shells and marigolds on a row? And so that's so in the end, who do you think really caused this? Mary, right? What do you think that she might have said if she didn't want to make it like a rockery, or she didn't want a boy? Maybe what might be a polite way she could have said it? Maybe like, okay, that's a good idea, but what about I do a garden here and next time I could do it, so I could avoid contact for a little while. That would be much better than saying like what actual Mary said, go away, I don't want boys, go away, right? Definitely. And now, so we also learned this. Mary's going to go to England, right? And so, uncle, right? To Mary's uncle. Mary's going to Mary's uncle. Yeah, of course, right? And name is Mr. Archibald Craven. And so after that, so Mary just snapped, I don't know anything about it. And Basil answered, I know you don't. You don't know anything. Girls never do. I heard father and mother talking about him. He lives in a great big, desolate old house in the country, and no one goes near him. He's so cross he won't let them, and they wouldn't come if he would let them. He's a hunchback, and he's horrid. So, do you think that Basil is just exaggerating, or do you think that's for real? And if Basil isn't exaggerating, then do you think that life for Mary is going to be hard? definitely. And do you think that Mary really believed it or didn't believe it? Because even though she didn't show it, she might have been a little scared. What do you think in your opinion? So, and then we see Mrs. Crawford, right? And they begin to go, and then they meet Mrs. Medlock. Now, what do you think about Mrs. Medlock? Is she a nice person? She's okay, not the best, but I have to say she's okay. And if you haven't been married, how would you felt about leaving India? That's the place where you've been for your whole life, and now you have to move. So, have you ever moved from somewhere to somewhere else, like where you've lived for your whole life? Well, I lived in Wisconsin for my whole life. Of course, when I was like 1 year old, we moved to the house I know today, but I can't even remember that house, so that doesn't really count. So yeah, and then we had to move. It was sad, but it was also exciting and now I'm in San Diego and I'm really enjoying the nature around here, and also all the fun things that you can do, like going to Legoland, SeaWorld, San Diego Zoo and Safari Parks, and yeah, it's really fun. Now, do you think that Misselthwaite Manor, how did you think it was gonna look like? I thought it was just gonna look like maybe a normal house, maybe a little bigger, not a mansion like it really was, but like maybe a little bigger, but not that big, right? And so, Mrs. Medlock, she wasn't really nice in front of Mary. She said this, "My word," she says, she's a plain little piece of goods. And we've heard about that her mother was a beauty. She hasn't handed much of it down, has she, ma'am? Right? Is that really nice, like just right in front of Mary? No. And so now, I have another question. And so, Mary right here, how do you think that she's feeling about everything? Sad or angry or frustrated or mad? What did I say, mad? I don't know. But anyway, anything. What do you think that it is? How do you think that she's feeling? And how did you feel? It's sort of like the question I asked before, but I also wanted to say this again. Yeah. Now, do you think that Mary's gonna enjoy the countryside? And do you think that her sickly, pale, yellow tinge is gonna go away? And do you think that she's ever gonna make any friends? And would you like to be friends with Mary? And I mean like just first when you meet her. I would if she lets me have a chance, but at times she just like, go away! And then I don't really have a chance, right? Because to be polite is to go away. So yeah, it all depends. And now, I also wanted to talk about Mary, more about Mary here. So, do you think that Mary right here, do you think that there are a few reasons why she's sickly? Yeah, maybe a lot of diseases are going around, but maybe what do you think that she could do to just prevent the sickness? Maybe go outside, exercise. I don't think that she really goes outside a lot, right? Exercise and try to be happy, because like I watched this video that said that this laughing has a positive impact for 45 minutes, and it makes the chance of life longer. Like let's say that your normal life without laughing was this much. Laughing, yeah, this much. And if you really laugh all the time, probably this much. Well, that's my estimate, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And if I'm not right, well, I'm really close then. And now, we are going to go to chapter 3, Across the Moor. And have you ever seen a moor? Or do you know what a moor even is? I didn't know what a moor was, but it sounded interesting at least. And I've never seen a moor before. And actually, I haven't. After I was reading this book, I can only imagine really from the pictures, but I actually haven't seen it in like a photo before. So, oh yeah, I should do that. Right after this recording, maybe I could do that. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. So maybe I'm gonna do that. Okay. But anyway, so now we're gonna go into chapter 3. And so we are now going to talk about the moor itself. And so Mary said this. It's not the sea, is it? And so, but it just sounds like a sea, but it isn't, right? It's just, and so Mrs. Medlock said, no, not it. Nor it isn't fields or nor mountains, just miles and miles and miles of wild land that nothing grows on but heather and gorse and broom, and nothing lives on but wild ponies and sheep. Does that sound like a really attractive place? I don't know. Nothing grows on it. I like mountains and alpine lakes and lots of like forests and woods and like millions of trees. I like that kind. I mean, I like more. I guess I'll like moors, but I like those kinds better. And now, so do you think that this place is a really creepy and dreary place? And if you could put Misselthwaite Manor anywhere you want it, then where would you put it? And here's the rule though, it has to be a landscape in Great Britain, and I mean just in England, and so you have to, maybe you can search it up, because you can't do the desert, because there's no desert in England, right? Now it will be called the British Kingdom or just Great Britain. And so, what do you, like a realistic one? Maybe the forests, woods, or lake, or near a lake or mountains. I think those, or maybe hills. All of those would be amazing, because I like all of those. But maybe not. Maybe not more though. So, and then I'm gonna read this the about Misselthwaite Manor, okay? And so okay, so they drove out of the vault into a clear space and stopped before an immensely long below-built house which seemed to ramble round the stone court. At first Mary thought there was no lights at all in the windows, but as she got out of the carriage she saw that one room in a corner upstairs showed a dull glow. The entrance of the door was a huge one made of massive, curiously shaped panels of oak studded with big iron nails and bound with great iron bars. It opened into an enormous hall, which was so dimly lighted that the faces in the portraits of the walls and figures in the suits of armor made Mary feel like she did not want to look at them. As she stood on the stone floor, she looked a very small little figure, and she felt as small and lost and odd as she looked. And so, it's amazing, right? And here's actually a picture. And Misselthwaite Manor actually here is in the background. Yeah, so I think this would be Misselthwaite Manor. And yeah, here it is. Well, of course, actually no. I'm not gonna spoil the book, okay? So I'm not gonna show you. And yeah, I'm not gonna show you, but try to imagine it. Maybe in the movie, you can actually watch the movie version and see how Misselthwaite Manor looks like that, because that's basically how it is. Okay. Now, do you even know what contrary means? What do you think it means, and what does it mean? Because Mary, right? Think of contrary, and Mary isn't that nice right now. She isn't that kind, so contrary probably is a bad thing. Or why would Basil from earlier be teasing her about it? So it must be something, right? We're gonna have to search it up in your dictionary, okay? It might be online dictionary or just a dictionary. Search it up. Even though I'm terrible at searching up dictionaries like that, like the books. I mean, when I was a little kid, I had so much trouble. I'm not better, but I'm not like a master. But still I'm okay. Okay. Now, chapter 4, Martha. Oh, she's one of my favorite characters. I like her a lot. Yeah, and then we see Martha right away when Mary wakes up, right? And then, so what do you think about Martha? Just from first glance, what do you think about Martha? What might be a few words that you would use to describe Martha? But Do you think that Mary's really appreciating how nice and kind Martha is to Mary? No, right? She isn't. What did you think about that? And so, do you think that Martha here, do you think that Martha would like to be slapped, like how Mary sometimes did with Aya and all that? No, right? And then Mary realized that, well, I'm going to just read what Mary said, and then you'll realize what Mary realized. She said this: "You thought I was a native! You dare! You don't know anything about natives! They're not people! They're servants who must salam you! You know nothing about India! You know nothing about anything!" She said the natives weren't people. Now, are they people? Definitely they are people! I'm right now reading a book about Indian people. And it's really fun, and I really like not the main character, but the main character's brother. He's so funny, and I really like him. And he's 100% human. And so and if you want to check that book out, it's called The Night Diary. I might be doing a book club of that. I'm gonna have to call my I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do that one. I'm gonna have to add it to my long list of books. Let me just tell you, I have a long list of books I'm gonna do. Okay. Now, what is this like to you? Like, if someone had called you what, then you would have been angry. Like, Mary was really, like, she began to cry just because Martha thought that she was native. Like, well, how would you begin to cry when someone thought that you were this? I would begin to get really mad, but I wouldn't really cry, but I would just be really annoyed. I'm not the kind who would really cry a lot, now, do you think that Martha deserves maybe more than Mary because there's so many people in her family? And so, now there's Dickon, right? And Dickon sounds really awesome. And who would you really like the most here? And so we've met Martha, Mrs. Medlock, and we've heard about Dickon, and we've seen Mary, and we've heard about Mr. Craven, Mary's uncle. And if you can think of anybody else, then yes. And who would you most like to meet? Dickon, because he's got an own pony, right? And he says this. Martha describes him as this. He found it on. Okay, so now she's talking about the. Okay, I'm just gonna start from the conversation. It says, "Our Dickon, he's 12 years old and he's got a young pony he calls his own. Where'd you get it?" That's Mary, okay? Okay, he found it on moor with his mother when it was a little one, and he began to make friends with it and gave it bits of bread and plucked young grass for it. And it got to like him, so it follows him and lets him get on his back. Dickon's the kind of lad and animals like him. Well, now I'm a big animal lover. And like if someone had a horse, I'd be like, oh, I'm definitely gonna meet them. And so now, do you like porridge? And would you like to eat the porridge? I think I would eat the porridge. Like I would eat it a lot. And now, so do you think that Mary's the kind of person who wants to really play outside? But do you think that's when she's gonna make the secret garden or discover the secret garden? Maybe so. That's interesting, right? And so, and then we learn about this garden that's been locked up. Do you think that this garden is going to be important to the book? Well, it's the secret garden. What do you think? Do you think that Mary's actually going to find it? That would be interesting, right? And then we see this old man. Who do you think that he is? What was your guess? And now suddenly we see this bird, right? And it's the robin, which will become a really important part of the book. And when you first met the robin, did you like him? I definitely was like, I just fell for that little guy. And do you think that even if the robin is an animal, do you think that the robin will be a great friend to Mary maybe? Definitely, right? And I think that, yeah, it would be that the Robin may be a good friend to Mary, hopefully at least. And then so Ben Weatherstaff said this. Then me are a good bit alike. We was wove out of the same cloth. We're neither of us good looking, and we're both of us as sour as we look. We've got the same nasty tempers, both of us, I'll warrant. Now, if someone has said though we're both not good looking and we're as sour as we look and that we have nasty tempers, how would you feel? I'll be like, what? I'll be really annoyed. And were you surprised when Mary didn't say son of pigs? Because she couldn't have said daughter of pigs, but like son of pigs, and like kicked and punched him. Were you surprised? Compared to how Mary treated Aya, I just thought that was a really big improvement. I was like, Mary, you've improved. So yeah, she really did improve, right? And so suddenly, why did suddenly Ben Weatherstaff suddenly was like just became a little gruff and mean when Mary just mentioned the garden? Do you think that the garden has something to do with Ben? What do you think? And what do you think? And do you think that Mary's ever gonna find the secret garden? And if she is, what do you think that she will find in the secret garden? It's so exciting! I'm so excited to see what will she find, right? This is just really, really, really exciting. And now, before we do anything else and we go to the last questions, I wanted to really talk about a few maybe activities that you could do. And so these are some really fun things, okay? One is make your own secret garden. Now, maybe you already have a garden, then just take good care of it. Well, it's not in order, but if you can, let's see how well your garden turns out. And so I think that it'll be just really, really, really cool to see how your gardens turn out. Yeah, it would be pretty cool, right? And then another thing that you could do is maybe make a report all about Moors or India or something to do with this, right? And maybe it could be about the author of this book, or maybe it could be about gardens, or maybe it could be about the Moor or England or India, or anything really that's mentioned in the book really counts. Like even robins if you want to. Or maybe maybe you could search more about cholera, right? And that could be a really interesting thing. And now, finally, this is our last thing. What was your favorite character and your least favorite character? And so I think that my favorite character, this time it wouldn't be Mary, but I really like Martha. Or either Martha or the Robin. The Robin counts as a character. And if you want, you can do two, but you can do one or two. And yeah, and then what's your least favorite character? Like there aren't any big antagonists, but maybe the mother, right, of Mary, because she isn't treating Mary well, and Mary's been just really ignored and not cared for her whole life. So maybe that's why Mary's so sickly and she's so at times a little ill-tempered and mean. So maybe it's sort of her mother's fault, and so I think that, the Mem Sahib is one I don't really like. Then also now, final question, well, not final question, but really, how did you like the book? Well, anyway, I hope that you really enjoyed The Secret Garden, chapters 1 to 4, and let me just tell you, it's gonna get more exciting from now on. Like, it's gonna get, like, if you like it this much, and soon it's gonna be this much. And even though you can't see my hands, right now they're doing thumbs up. So yeah. And now, and so now we're gonna go to predictions. Here's a few things. Do you think that Mary's gonna get okay and she's gonna actually make some friends and be happy? Yeah, and also, do you think that she's gonna begin to eat her porridge? What about the Robin? Do you think that she's gonna be making friends more with the Robin? Do you think that she's gonna ever find out why Ben Weatherstaff was like that? Also, do you think that she's ever gonna meet Mr. Craven? And also, what about the secret garden? Do you think that she's ever gonna go into the secret garden? Or do you think that she's gonna make the secret garden? What about the hidden garden for 10 years? What do you think is gonna happen with that? Do you think that she's gonna find the entrance? Or do you think it's all gone now? Finally, do you think that she's gonna become more friendly with Mary? And if you have any, not Mary, Martha, okay? And finally, if you have any questions you thought of yourself, then ask them to yourself. Because you might think that maybe because you made the questions, it will be easy for you to answer. Well, I made all the questions here, no help. But here's the thing, I sometimes have trouble. At times I'm like, what should I do? What might be a good answer for this? So even I struggle. So yeah. Now, again, I hope that you really enjoyed doing this awesome book with me, chapters 1 to 4. And make a difference out there. It can be small, like washing the dishes, okay? Now, again, hope that you really enjoyed. I had a really awesome time recording this video. I really like recording these YouTube videos, and I hope that you also enjoy listening to me and really just really getting to know the secret garden a little more. Maybe you've already read this book, but again, it's really fun to review, and maybe you haven't, and it's all full of mystery. So who knows, okay? And I hope that you have a great time. Bye! Hope that you enjoy me and the secret garden.